this summer as the second half of state and local fiscal recovery funds have come into your counties, cities, states, your tribal governments. At this point, almost to our knowledge, all of the money has been dispersed as part of the state and local fiscal recovery funds. We are now at an interesting point because if you look at these next two milestones, we have a couple of years, a little less than a couple of years, to continue to make plans for these funds. And by December 31st, 2026, you know, a little under 4 years, all of that money has to be spent. So between now and December 31st, 2026, we have this really special opportunity to advocate for any of these funds that have not yet been obligated. This definition of obligation was really helpful to me because this can, I don't know, I find a lot of the language around these things confusing sometimes. But so when we talk about obligation, just read this. An agency incurs an obligation, for example, when it places an order, signs a contract, awards a grant, purchases a service, or takes other actions that require it to make a payment. So all that means is having an official plan for those funds. That needs to be done by December 31st, 2024. But between then and 2026, you know, those funds don't need to be expended. So all of that to say, it is very likely that there is still some opportunity in your community, in your state, to either, you know, depending on your level of influence, there is likely opportunity to further influence the direction of these funds. You might be asking, okay, well, is there still time for me? Depending on where I am sitting in my community, how far my policymakers have gotten in this process, in the decision-making process, is there still time to access this money? And as you see here, the answer is maybe. And really answering that question is going to involve asking three primary questions that we've already touched on, and that, again, I'm going to put some resources in the chat right after this. So the first being, how much funding was originally allocated to your city, your county, your school district, going outside of the state and local fiscal recovery funds and just thinking broadly? How much of that funding has already been obligated or expended? Like I said, this is going to be, your difficulty in answering this question is going to be proportionate to really the size of your city or county. Because you're going to have better, or not better reporting, but more information because of the size of the of your jurisdiction. And if you do happen to be part from a city or a county with less than 250,000 population, you might have to do a little more digging. And there are a number of ways to go about that, but the hope is that your jurisdiction will have some kind of its own public hub on its website. Most do, that are as clear as possible about kind of what's been done so far. But if not, you have to start thinking about your relationships with the folks that are making these decisions, and you know, or your peripheral relationships with people who have relationships with the decision makers or the budget holders, and thinking about how you can get to a point where you can ask them questions that you cannot answer easily, assuming that you do run into challenges understanding, okay, how much of this funding is already spoken for. And just anecdotally, and this is the last thing I'll say, we have been working directly with a wide range of people in communities of different sizes, different makeups, and there is just wide variation in where decision makers are in this process of allocating the funds. It feels sometimes like there isn't a lot of rhyme or reason to how this all is coming together. So my advice would be, don't assume that this money's already gone. It is worth asking questions and doing some digging, because it could be that your policymakers, your decision makers are looking for some help to get this money out the door in a way that benefits all community members. Because again, going back to, this is a lot of money, and